Hello, I'm Crystal, and I am a graphic designer. I'm super excited to have you come through my portfolio with me. So the first thing that I'm going to go through is my Walmart campaign that I ran. I did this using paragraph styles. The um, the photos I found and the colors were actually already given to me. Um, the green, I did go ahead and implement in a couple different areas that we wanted to bring extra attention to that was within the body copy, just to bring that green all the way through. I did create the Walmart map, and I did it at an angle. My store does it at an angle, and I thought it would be really cool to implement that as you were walking in. The next project is going to be my Phoenix project. And this was a kind of a long project, but I created everything in it. And the color scheme in this, I tried to keep it a pretty neutral color scheme. I did add some blue to the color scheme and some orange just to kind of give it some depth and make something stand out. But because, as you can see by the logo, I did a lot of Native Americans and cowboys, because that's really what the culture is in Phoenix. That's what people would come for, that maybe doesn't have to do with hiking, because if you're here in the summer, you're not going to want to hike in 102 degrees. But I started with an arrowhead for the P in the Phoenix. And this is just a black and white version, just to show that it can be done in black and white. It looks really good in black and white if we need to do it that way. This is my first billboard, and as I had said before, beautiful blue skies here in Phoenix, and so that's where I actually kind of started getting the blue from. Just to highlight our beautiful blue skies, our cowboys and Indians, and Native Americans, and that's really all gets tied in to the entire campaign on all three of my billboards. And again, the red and the orange, it's like a reddish orange. I actually decided to use that, just taking from the environment and taking from the Native Americans, and a lot of the colors in the photos. I chose a lot of my photos based on the colors in them, just to bring the campaign together. I did use a white for the Life's a Dance on my postcard, just to bring all of the white from the photo in and just kind of tie it all together. And again, it's just keeping the colors consistent throughout the whole campaign, because there was a lot to it. This is, again, just still my Phoenix campaign, and I did keep my sentences pretty short. I always capitalized the first letter and limited other punctuation. This is my hero for the website. I did use a lot more blue in this. I felt like it kind of felt a little bit like one of the Native American blankets or tapestries that you see. But that blue will just kind of highlight, especially the photos. With the orange, it just brought a lot of focus on them, and it allowed us to really, the contrast brought out the colors in the background as well. My next campaign was my stationery campaign for my own my own brand, or KB Designs. And I used a lot of purple, and you'll see it throughout the whole design patterns. And the reason I used a lot of purple is because of the psychology behind purple being creative, and the psychology behind yellow being happy. Happy and creative is it just kind of who I feel like I am. And that would be the brand that I would want to put out. And you'll see that there's lots of circles, and that's because I don't like thinking inside the box. I like thinking outside of the box. So there was some thoughts to the shapes as well. And I really just tried to keep a really consistent design throughout all of it. Throughout the entire campaign with the business cards. And the only thing that you'll see different on my business cards is on the back of my business card, I didn't use the circle, just get away from too much repetitiveness. But I definitely wanted to make sure that on all of my design elements that I was keeping to making sure everything was consistent. The next one is a magazine layout that I did. Now, on this, it was a Fit Me magazine, and I was given most of the photos, and I was given the body copy. I just kind of put it all together and created the layout. I did do the color schemes. I did the table of contents. And the reason I did the table of contents on the left side of the page like that was actually to bring some attention to it, but also so to fit it into a place where it wasn't going to take up a whole page, and do it in a way that was really visually stimulating. I used a lot of the red to bring attention. I used paragraph styles in this. I made sure to use alignment, and made sure that on this, I made sure to leave space in the margins for on the body copy. And I made sure to use the boxes to give me a little bit of room around my photos and my pull quotes, just to make sure that those were really able to stand out, and that text didn't come too close to anything that we didn't want it close to. On my ad, I did find this photo on my own, and I used the brown just because, I mean, she's outside, she's on something brown, and it just brought a lot of that color back in, and brown contrasted with the blue fairly well. And then next, we'll have my mock-up of my Cool Breeze design package. This one was really fun, and I used a slight gradient on this just to kind of pull some of the darker and lighter blues, and I have like a nice sandy color at the bottom. The idea behind this was actually the beach. And that's where I pulled a lot of my colors from. A lot of my motivation came from being at the beach and hanging out there. And so you'll see throughout the campaign design, it's pretty apparent. And I did make sure to, on my boxes, to go actually all the way out to the bleed. That way, creating that bleed and that margin space, it makes sure that if the printer gets cut off, we're still good. I also used alignment on this, making sure that everything was aligned. The legal requirements on the box was the ingredient, so we made sure that we put that on there. We made sure to put where it was manufactured, so if they did need to get a hold of the manufacturer, that they could do that. And yeah, the label, we didn't have to put the ingredients on the label because it is on the box, so that covers our legal requirement. So the label is pretty standard. And the cool part about my label is that the texture that I added on the box, which is just a pattern that I had created out of the logo that we were given, you can actually see through it on the label, and it ends up being about that same sand color in the bottle is the idea behind not really putting a whole lot of color behind that. And last but not least, we have Chill Out. Now, I did do this logo. I created this in Illustrator by hand, and I used bright pink on pretty much everything in this campaign just because I feel like it ties everything together. The bright pink reminds people of happy kid memories. That's anything with bright colors, and we're wanting it to be a happy campaign, a really happy-go-lucky go back to your childhood, just to bring them back in. And on my brochure here, I used a grid. I basically created a grid and turned it sideways so it would kind of look like a waffle cone almost in the background. And I used a lot of, I used 2 different fonts just to create some more contrast to it. And I made sure to mind my margins on this just in case something got cut. And I used I used a grid structure, and I made sure that everything was in proximity to make sure that like all of the address stuff was together so people could find it easy. I also did a ad behind my a Facebook ad, and I did a lot of the photoshopping on this. We did have the photo. All I did is I went back and I recolored a lot of the things so that it all tied in with the rest of the design. It also would be if they had a uniform. This is what I would imagine their uniform being, keeping true to their colors. And again, I just used the same font base that I've been using the entire campaign, and I did it just to create that unity between them. And I really like the mock-up on this only because it really shows how that would pop up with all of the blue on Facebook. We still have that blue to tie it into like Facebook pages incorporated in the logo, but because of the pink, it pops right out on a Facebook page. It makes the ads really, really easy for consumers to see. And that is my portfolio. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you have a wonderful day.